Hello, I'm Kenny Spigner. Obviously, I'm not Hadley Bartling or Aiden Chandler. You can kind of look at me as the substitute for this week's show. Normally, we record the Comet Weekly on Tuesday and Wednesday, but as you know, the weather kept us out of school those days this week. But the show must go on. As you probably noticed also, this is not our usual Comet Weekly set. There's a unicorn on the wall behind me. Just don't worry about that. Don't worry, things will be back to normal next week. Hadley and Aiden will be back with a new spring break countdown background, courtesy of our very own Ashlyn Long. You may be thinking to yourself, it's way too cold to be thinking about spring break, but it will be here before you know it. But let's get to what you came here for today, the latest and up-to-date Velma Elma news. Our top story, the weather. As I already told you, we were out of school Tuesday and Wednesday because of the frigid and potentially dangerous weather conditions. School is expected to be back to normal today, but if anything changes, we will let you know through our Parent Square app or through social media. And with the weather being the focal point of the week, I sent everyone's favorite weatherman out in the field to give us a real-time weather report. Here's Cody Matthews.
Welcome back to your Comet Weekly weather. Today is super cold. I don't know the weather for the rest of the week. I don't have my script, so don't go outside, it's cold.
Oh boy. Okay, we'll check back with Cody during our regular weather segment. I'm sure it's not that cold out there. Let's move to our teacher spotlight. This week we move to the 4th grade. Our reporter Abigail Wilson tells us about Mrs. Dallas Poindexter.
Utah, and what is the capital of Utah?
Salt Lake.
This week's teacher spotlight is Miss Dallas Poindexter. Miss Poindexter has been teaching for 2.5 years, and she came to Velma and taught for 1st grade for 2 years. This year she is teaching 4th grade. Before teaching here, Miss Poindexter worked at Stevens County Sheriff's Office for 10 years, and then at Gabriel's House for 4 years. She graduated from Rush Springs High School in 2002, and from Kenyon University in 2007, she went back to Cameron and is currently working on her master's degree. Miss Poindexter has 9 kids, 8 girls, and 1 boy, and a blended family. She has 6 grandkids. Her favorite quote is, "The only limits you have are the limits you believe." This week's Teacher Spotlight, Miss Dallas Poindexter.
Thanks, Abigail. Next week we continue in the 4th grade with Mrs. Julie Bear. Congratulations to several of our high school band members. 3 of them competed in the OSSAA District Solo and Ensemble Contest in Elgin and qualified for state. We'll have an interview with Mrs. Stewart on next week's Comet Weekly. And congratulations to the middle school and high school girls that will be our 25-26 cheerleading squads. Tryouts were last Thursday after school. Mrs. Herring and Mrs. Dunn are excited about next year's squads. The Stevens County Junior Livestock Show has been going on all week at the Stevens County Fairgrounds. We'll have results and pictures on next week's Comet Weekly. And with the short week, we did not get all of the Comet kids for this week's episode, but here's a special shout out to Mrs. Allred's Comet of the Week, Russell Hoggard. Before we go to Carson Beck and Comet Sports, let's give Cody one more shot. Here's weather.
Just to prove how cold it is, I brought my hot dog outside. If you can't tell, he's shivering pretty bad, and we had to move spots because this spot's less windy. Yeah, my dog don't even like it. By the way, this is Gus. He runs into doors a lot. Ciao.
Basketball season is still rolling along. Another district championship for Coach Bear and the Comets as they made easy work of Stonewall Saturday night, winning 94-34. The win was also Coach Bear's 900th combined win as a basketball coach. The Comets' quest for the Big House continues this Thursday as they play in regionals against Surreal at Stonewall at 7:30. Unfortunately, the high school basketball season is over for the girls. They fell short on Friday night against Ringland. Powerlifting was postponed this week, and we will let you know when it will be rescheduled. And even though basketball and powerlifting is still going on, don't forget that the spring sports are just around the corner. Practices for baseball and track have already started. That's a look at your week of Comet Sports. Now back to the studio.
That's all the time we have for this abbreviated episode of the Comet Weekly. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Facebook page, and follow us on TikTok. And please feel free to spread the word about us. Don't forget to check out our daily Comet News live show on our Comet News Network Facebook page. Every day we're in school at around 1 p.m. for your daily Velma Alma news. Hadley and Aiden will be back next week, hopefully along with nicer temperatures. And speaking of, I might should go check on Cody to see if he's okay. As Aiden would say, ka-chow.